Well, that music can only mean one thing, that you've decided once again to support us by listening to this podcast. It's Swing Thoughts. My name's Howard, golf spiritual leader, of course, along with Coach Tim O'Connor. And once again, we're happy to bring you, well, a very different type of golf podcast. You know, some days we have guests, some days it's just Tim and I, you know, shooting the shit. How you doing there, man? You all right?
I'm good. I like to, when you said swing thoughts, it reminded me of Annie Hall, the Woody Allen movie. He was Alfie Singer.
Oh, yeah.
Not singer, singer.
Singer, well, you know, it's an accent, you know, type of thing. It's, my ex-wife says that.
Thing? Is that a New York thing?
Well, it's a New York, it's a Montreal thing. My ex-wife has that, a little bit of that accent. She doesn't say hangers. She says hangers. Pant hangers. Anyway, welcome to the golf show that you people seem to enjoy, you STDs, and we certainly appreciate it. I had occasion to be in the presence of greatness. I was at a dinner, a little get-together with Mr. O'Connor the other night, and our very good friend and special friend of the program, Dr. Carl Morris. But before we get into that, I just wanted to apologize to Tim.
No.
Well, because here's the thing. Like, I don't really get to hang around with Tim a lot in person. You know, like the last time I saw Tim in person, in the flesh, like I see you every week. I'm going to talk about you both as in the first person and in the third person, I guess. No, the other, whatever person it is where I'm going to talk about you while you're here. So I sit down Monday night, and in about the first 45 seconds of seeing Tim in person, after the hugs and all the emotional, Tim said "fuck" about 46 times, and I'm always like, it's weird because you're reticent to do it on the podcast because you're a grown up, and so what I wanted to apologize for is about the 50th fuck. I just said to him, like, dude, calm down, like. What is going on with you? Are you hammered? No, I just didn't say that. I want to apologize because you're a grown man. You can say fuck all you want, but I just wondered if you needed just a check in. Like was something up? Because like literally, it was like, where's Tim O'Connor, the little altar boy? Where's he gone?
Good boy. Yeah.
I apologize.
I just think when I get I don't know.
I should have let you go.
I don't care. But yeah, I mean. That's interesting because, this is, I guess, a semi-professional environment.
Hardly.
Well, doing a podcast to people, so we
it seems
conscious
like we should
about being appropriate
yes,
and
we
things
should be
like that.
Semi-professionals, yes.
And
yes.
I think that's kind of because this is public. I guess I would say unconscious most of the time, but semi-conscious. My wife would agree with that, semi-conscious about what I say. But when I get wound up, that's just kind of what happens. It just happens. When I was a coach of the University golf team, I was always trying to but it was every practice. I think it comes when I want to emphasize something and then bang, it comes out. Well, I have to admit that it was a really fun night, and on Monday I hadn't seen Carl. It was funny. We were trying to figure out when we first met, and it was in 2008. He came over here, did some workshops. We met, and then he came back a couple years later. So I've known this guy for a long time, and he's gone from kind of this all-knowing guru I absorbed every word on his CDs and things he wrote. And then he kind of became a coach to me, a mentor, and through this program and with you, he's become a friend. And so it was just it was really exciting, that he came over on this side of the pond. He's been doing some workshops at St. George's in Toronto, and we managed to carve out some time to have dinner. And then there you were, I mean,
No, it was all too much for you, and you went on a fuck rampage.
I was on overwhelm.
Yeah,
I was on overwhelm.
you went on a fuck rampage, and I just felt like I needed to say something because I think you were shocking Carl and I. Speaking of a shock,
now I scoff
kidding,
and
I'm kidding.
guffaw at your.
Scoff.
The millionth
Speaking
time
of
you
shocked,
exaggerate.
I'd never seen Carl in person, and you warned me that he was a large man, not large like
Tall.
fat, but he's tall.
Yeah, oh
and
my.
I was very excited to see him because for the last 10 years, much like you, I admire him. I've had occasion to use his services. He's coached me a little bit. Several years ago, we were talking about my putting. And I've had him as a guest on this show, and I've been a guest on his show, and I was happy to see him. And great. It was great hanging out with you. Carl told us some interesting stories, and we talked everything about. It was a very interesting conversation. We went from the use of language to religion to things got very intense very quickly. Well,
It did.
I think you saying "fuck" 100 times really set the tone for the kind of evening it was going to be, and I thank you for that. He did tell an interesting story about Pete Cowan. I'm going to repeat it now, which just goes to. I mean, it's sort of just as you think that all these famous swing instructors, they're all, they've unlocked the secrets to golf. But he told a story about some of the players that Carl was working with, and he asked them what was Pete Cowan teaching them. And in this particular example, it was something to do with their right shoulder.
The downward pressure thing or something.
Whatever it was, he was telling every one of his players the exact same thing. Which I just thought was a great story about how, like a lot of times people that teach golf, and I brought this up with you guys, is that a lot of teachers basically are teaching their players what's deficient in their own swings.
Exactly. That happens all the time. I have to guard against that whatever I've been working on in my game. Oh, this is the secret. And it's not the effing secret.
Well, it may not, maybe the secret for you.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's the secret for you, but it may not be the secret for. And that's not to say that Pete Cowan isn't a great teacher.
Oh.
Do you know I had a lesson from Pete Cowan?
Ah, there you go. It was about the shoulder thing.
No, same thing. Do you know that story that I
No,
that's actually. I'm sure I told it on the podcast, and I didn't want to tell it Monday night because there were so many other things to talk about with Carl. But very briefly, I was on the range at the Scottish Open. I think I told you. I went away. Keith Pelly invited me to Scotland to hang out for the week at the Scottish Open, which was an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
Most people know that Keith Pelly, at the time was the chairman or the
Commissioner.
Yeah. The commissioner of the DP World Tour. So I was hanging out there, and I got to play in the Pro-Am with David Howell, who it turned out was also a client of Carl's at one time. And a great guy, loves to chat, both Carl and David Howell. So I was on the range for the week, and I got to know the guys at TrackMan there, and they were all very friendly. And so one day I was hitting some balls, and it was actually after a round. So one day I was watching them hit balls, and all of a sudden this guy comes up, and there's Henrik Stenson's golf bag. His caddy came over, and one of the TrackMan guys says, "That guy there, that's Pete Cowan." I'm like, "No way!" And I got all excited. Yeah. So I'm like, I got all this accreditation. I got the lanyards on. So I walk up to Pete Cowan and go, "Mr. Cowan, I'm Howard Glassman from Toronto. Big fan of your work and golf, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Do you mind if I ask you a question?" He goes, "Yeah, go ahead." So I asked him a swing question. I don't even know what it was about. Might have been the takeaway, might have been something else. But Pete starts to get all excited about telling me his theory of whatever I was asking him. And then, like, for the next 20 minutes, while he was waiting for Stenson, he pulls out Stenson's 8-iron, gives it to me, has me make a couple swings, and I've got a picture. The guy from TrackMan took a picture of me getting the lesson from Cowan. And after it was over, I thanked him. I gave him back Stenson's club, And I walked back to the TrackMan guy. He goes, "That was amazing." I go, "Fuck, that was crazy." He goes, "That would have probably cost you $1,000." But it was really cool. It was kind of like
Yeah.
I got an impromptu lesson from the great Pete Cowan. Yeah.
Did you get a business card and we could call him up and invite him on the
Listen,
podcast?
I was a little bit taken aback by how it all unfolded.
Oh, I totally
But
get it. I totally get it. Yeah. Well, what an amazing experience.
yeah,
That's
I
really
couldn't tell you
wild.
what I couldn't for the life of me tell you what he told me.
Yeah. You know what? So to go back to our conversation with Carl and instruction and all that kind of thing, one of the things that Carl said I thought was really interesting is that we're talking about instruction, particularly in the today with the internet, and it's just this tsunami of information, and these people who are the influencers, and a way that now it's a full-time job for these people to pump out content and engage. And Carl, you know, as we know, he's not a big fan of all this tip-oriented stuff that's coming out. And it was really interesting. He said that instruction is these days is like a Ponzi scheme. I thought that was really interesting. Was that what you said? Okay, well,
Yeah, that's okay.
no, but that's
I know. Yeah,
cool.
listen, it was 3 nights ago. Yeah, because at one point you said to me, "Oh, I love that," because that's what I said. It's like a Ponzi
Okay,
scheme. That's
cool.
okay.
So what
Listen,
do you mean by that? So what do you mean by that?
well, it's like you get sucked in. It's like a Ponzi scheme or a multi-level marketing or a pyramid scheme. It's that if you're one of the first people in it, you benefit. Like these
Oh,
influencers,
yeah,
they
yeah.
were sort of first to market with, like whatever their golf instruction scheme is,
Hmm.
and then the rest of us kind of get sucked into it, but we're at the bottom of the pyramid. And I said that because like a true Ponzi scheme is you're ripping people off, and I don't think that these instructors are ripping us off, but it's a bit of a scheme. Is that it's all to get you to buy their program. I guess that's
Well,
the
totally.
Ponzi part of it. It's like they put out content that is ostensibly helpful, but a lot of it is to lure you in to their methodology and signing up for their courses and their instruction.
Oh, absolutely. It's I believe that most instructors are just doing the best they can.
Yeah.
They want to help people out. They're no different than me. I had a guy last week who had never hit his driver basically off the ground and hit it. Uh, and he was just ecstatic. And that's so fun. I would say the majority of instructors, it's about helping. But I think we'd be a whole lot naive not to think that so much of the way we engage with the internet and as you said, sort of like the schemes, which is a word that is loaded, but it's a business,
Yeah,
and
of course.
they want you to buy into their program and 29.99 per month and whatever. And I think that we can be sometimes taken advantage of, sucked in on things, and oh, don't leave now. You're just starting to get this, and I understand that. I but it's sometimes it's just kind of freaking repellent.
Well, yeah, but what you
I have a
do,
client who that's what happened to him. He just felt that the people just kept coming after him for money.
yeah, but what you do when like someone like you or Casey or some of the other guys that we know that teach, it's like your help. I think you're genuinely interested in helping people,
Yeah.
and for the most part, you do a lot of one-on-one instruction. Yes, you have a book. You want people to buy the book. But what I'm talking about is, like, and there's dozens of these where whether it's Skillist or Coach Now or any of these other apps, like the one that the guy that we were talking about at this dinner is, I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware of it that listen, but it's a guy named Rick Shields. And as Carl mentioned, Rick Shields, and there were several other guys that were all just local teachers. And you can't fault them for wanting to expand their business because, guys that teach golf, yeah, they might make a lot of money, but if it's one person, you can only stand on that range for so many. There's only so many hours of daylight.
Oh,
But
you're telling me. I know
right.
that.
So Rick Shields, this guy that was he was just a regular golf teacher. Early on, and go look him up if you don't know who he is. He's got 3 million people that follow him on YouTube. He is just signed a deal with Live Golf, and I mean he's probably one of, a handful of guys that are amongst the most successful, YouTube teaching influencers. Because like Grant Horvat and the Bryan brothers, they're not trying to, like Grant Horvat is trying to sell you engagement. Rick Shields decided that I can only stand on this range so long. And maybe if I engage with some YouTube people, I'll be able to give them content, sell them content, so that I can make money when I sleep. And so I don't fault him for that. I just think that a lot of it is just a little bit of like, like Marty Chuck, my friend from our friend from Tour Striker. He puts out videos so that you'll buy his products.
That's right. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But you just have to kind of know that, there is no easy way to do this.
That's
if
right.
there was, we'd all be good. There just is none.
No, you're absolutely right. I think what the majority of people are trying to do is try and spread with a sense of goodwill that they're going to help some people, and it's this cycle of giving and receiving. And I'm going to give you some stuff, and I'm going to receive some payment for that. It's just fair. It's absolutely fair. But I do think that you have to, as in all parts of the world, buyer beware. You got to be aware that there's some things that you're probably not going to need, and they're going to want to bring in, and it's about creating, a business. And I just think that so much of the way people engage with a lot of this content does not, in fact, make them better. It sucks them in, but they don't get better.
Yeah, and I mean that the fact that you
It's not to
got
demonize it at all.
no, but the fact that you got a golfer to get their driver airborne for the first time is great.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But as we said at the dinner the other night, because Carl, has a PhD in golf psychology, but he also was a golf instructor, and we were just talking about how difficult it is to make any kind of change, significant change in your golf motion once, past a certain point. Can you improve your ball position, your aim, your setup, your posture? Yes, you can do those things. Those are process oriented things that you can work on that will have an impact. As far as the motion that you're making, it's pretty hard once it's set to make, and unless you're really, like we were joking the other night, it took Faldo 2 years.
Yeah.
And he had Ledbetter with him every day, for the most part, for 2 years, and he was already good.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what we all saw on Sunday. Do you want to set the table? JJ Spaun, what a great Swing Thoughts example that was to all of us.
Oh, absolutely. Sam Burns. I always want to call him Jake Burns.
You go ahead and call him Jake Burns if you want, buddy.
He seems like a Jake. I mean, he just kind of has that southern sort of nonchalant look. I don't know.
Jake
so Burnsy.
Hey,
One
by the
shot
way,
lead.
just quickly, do you know that famous story about Jake Burns and Tiger?
Please tell.
2018. So Tiger was still trying to make a comeback. The year before he won, that year he won the Tour Championship, and next year he won the Masters. So Sam Burns, aka Jake, gets paired with Tiger in some tournament, and he comes to the tee, and Sam Burns, that's 7 years ago. He hadn't won yet. He's won 5 times, but that was before. And there's thousands of people, more than Sam's ever played in front of. Anyway, he comes to Tiger, they shake hands, and Sam says to him, "Hey, can you believe all these people came out to see me play?" Tiger laughs his ass off. Tiger thinks that's funny.
Well, that is funny. My God.
Anyway, back to Jake on Sunday.
Well, I think that what was cool is Burnsy, we'll go with that. He had a one-shot lead, and I think that that was over Spaun. Adam Scott, was he, what do you recall? Was he like
Adam
tied
was
or was
right
he
there.
one?
Yeah, he was up in the top 3 or 4 at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, exactly. So, so Burns and Scott seem to be doing pretty well heading into the rain delay. And oh, just by the way, uh, my son Sean shared this Twitter thing that came up. It was like from some younger guy going, "Oh, that tiger was pretty damn good," when they showed the replay from
Oh
2008.
yeah, that's right. During the break, they go right to the 2008 U.S. Open with Tiger. Yeah, Tiger was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. Oh, that's what they were talking about. This guy was pretty
Yeah.
good. But
By the way,
anyways,
I thought that was very smart of them.
oh, of course it
They
was.
knew that
Yes.
rain delay was coming, and they thought, okay, what are we going to do to keep people engaged? Oh, I know.
Well, the way they set it up too, the end of the third round,
Yeah.
when Tiger made what, 120-foot bomb for eagle,
Well, he
and
made
then
2 eagles in the last 4 holes or last 3 holes. It was
and
incredible.
then he that chips in for the bird, and then he felt
Yeah.
like looked almost embarrassed to make.
Yeah, which,
And
by
then,
the
of
way, I don't look embarrassed with the odd time I chip in. Don't have that look on my face. So, anyways, keep going.
So anyway, but Spaun, as everyone knows who watched it, made 5 bogeys in his first 6 holes,
Yeah.
and I thought, well, he's done. What did you think?
Yeah, man, no argument. Like, it just looked like poor guy, the moment was too big, and he got, well, he got
What a
two
brutal
breaks
break.
for sure that were just
Yeah.
so heinous. The one off the
Heinous.
flag, like so he bogeys the first hole, gets to the second hole, and just flags this second shot. It's coming in there, spins, hits the flag, comes back 50 yards, makes bogey. Next hole, hits a rake, bad break, makes bogey, and then he just made a couple more, and you thought, just like you, I thought, well, he's a nice guy. Moment's too big. We'll not see the likes of JJ Spaun again today, my friends.
Yeah. So, but yeah, again, as everyone watched, he came back and he made a couple of bomb putts. Things went his way. It went the opposite way for Scott and Burns. What did you think? I thought the tournament was over for Burns when he was denied relief for the temporary water, and he just seemed to really react to that. What did you think or sense?
I was a little surprised that they didn't give him relief.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I mean, you saw his feet. You saw the water coming up.
I was intrigued by the fact I didn't know you could ask for a second opinion. I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't realize you could say I wanted somebody else to come over and look. I was also surprised, as you pointed out, that he seemed to be affected by it.
Yeah.
I mean, the shot he hit, that was the casual water. I mean, a
Casual.
tour
You know
player.
what? That's the word. I couldn't come up with it. Casual water. Yes,
Right.
not temporary water.
Well, yeah, but what they called it something else too. It had a different. They called it relief from something temporary. Anyway, the shot he hit once he was denied that whatever that long iron, that ball went diving left, which is not
yeah.
a player, not a shot those guys hit. So yes, he was affected by it, and it led to. But I felt like I was surprised that it affected him because you think those guys are so well trained and so used to dealing with the vagaries of the game, but it did affect him.
Yeah, but it was also Oakmont, and it was
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
raining. And I think the stress of the day, that was so difficult. I mean, that golf course was just every time you got, oh, here's Adam Scott, where's the ball? He's an ankle deep rough, and
Yeah.
oh, here's Griffin with the fescue up to his hips. Oh, and the wind's going and the rain coming sideways.
And the moment too.
tough
I'm
time.
smiling at you because we were talking about golf swings and golf instruction and how difficult it is to make changes. This is something we should all take some solace in. Think about how good Adam Scott swings a golf club.
Oh my
And
goodness.
even he hits it sideways. Think about that.
Yes.
He's got one of the best swings we've all ever seen, and he doesn't even hit it perfectly all the time. So the rest of us
Well
should sort
said,
of,
young
yeah,
man.
we should just take some comfort in the fact that that's how hard this game is. That guy doesn't hit it perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think he'd win more majors.
You'd think
You
he'd
know,
win
what?
every time. You think he could never hit a bad shot with that golf swing.
Yeah, I mean, that thing is that looks. There's swings that just are aesthetically
Yes.
beautiful to witness. Um, gosh,
Steve Elkington, Tom Pertzer.
Elkington. Exactly. That's where I was going to go. Exactly. You watch those guys and go, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Pertzer, though, I think he might have won 2 events or
He won a few
something.
events. Elkington won a major,
Yeah. And he
but
won
his
the
golf swing
players. Yeah.
aesthetically was just insane.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing, it's funny thing about, and it's also a lesson I think in for the rest of us. So JJ Spaun has all those things happen. Then they have a break. Yeah. Then he comes out and in the last 9 holes, some things started going his way. He sank a longish putt, 22-ish feet on 12. Had some good fortune, good breaks. But the best break that he could have ever had is where Hovland's ball ended up on 18. Yeah. And the reason that's such a significant break, I think, is because, as we were talking about with you and Carl, you give a guy at that level the line and pace, they're not going to 3-putt. Like, obviously, him sinking that putt is extraordinary. It's Nick Taylor-esque. They're going to be showing that for years. That's going to be part of U.S. Open legend forever. But when Hovland's ball came to rest about a foot and a little bit off J.J. Spaun's line, the first thing I thought of was, there goes the opportunity to 3-putt. Because the only way he could 3-putt that is if he didn't really understand something like, there was a hole earlier where everyone was hitting it 8 feet by. Yeah. Rahm did, he did. But in that particular case, I thought, well, because he only needed to 2-putt it to win. That was an amazing break for a professional golfer.
Well said. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's that skill level that they have, and to relate just the spatial ability, the ability to know, is this ball going to be sneaking up on the hole? Is it going to have some pace going by?
Well, not only that, Hovland almost sank it, which made it even better because he got to see the ball not only go to the hole, but go past the hole. The reason I'm smiling now, though, is if I had a 64-foot putt, and you had a 65-foot putt, I could still 3-putt it. And I saw you go first. I could still 3-putt it.
Frickin' four-whack.
It wouldn't matter. Yeah, exactly. I could 4-whack it.
Yeah, but so to come back to kind of how we started this segment, that Spaun was able to just ride it out, stay with the program. I mean, how many people have you played with who got off to bad starts and they say, that's it, I'm done, the day's over? And wow, he just stuck with it. And I was reading the transcript from his interview after the final round, and he says, that's what I've been doing my whole life. And you can see that he just was, even when he was watching that ball, ricochet off the flag. Like you said it earlier, he flagged it. I mean, he literally flagged it.
Yeah.
My gosh. And for that thing to carang back about 50 yards, and just the look on his face was, really? Is this happening? But he just hung with it. And that's really all you can do. It's like you get hit, you just bounce back, hit, come back. Because what's your choice? Fold up the tent, go home?
Yeah. That's the choice a lot of people make. I mean, I used to make it. I've made it. And we've all been, if we're honest with one another, and, I think I've been honest in sharing that there have been lots of times on the golf course where I'm like, years ago where you're still there and maybe you're not throwing clubs, but, internally you've kind of shut it down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. Totally. But the grit that he showed, I think, is so impressive. And instructive, what we can take from that, and that is, and this has been a theme we've been exploring this year. I mean, it would have been so easy for Rory, 3-shot lead, final round, 13th hole, and he dunks his wedge into the creek like that. That would have been so easy to go, oh well, this is my destiny.
This is happening to me again.
Here we go, and the thing is that what I think is interesting to consider. And it's in the blog that's that's going to go live in a couple of days. Um, Think of how this applies to to the rest of our life. We all have, so PGA Tour players, they want to win tournaments. Us in our lives, for some people, it's get a promotion, hit a certain level of sales, a project that's going to, and most of the times things don't go the way we hope. Most of the times things there's setbacks, or there's things that happen that, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. Oh my God, how unfair. Or,
Yeah.
and it's so easy to get sucked into, well, I guess that's just my lot in life not to succeed or whatever. But that's why that's why, I had tears in my eyes after he sunk that putt. And it's just, that's redemption story. That ability
Absolutely. Yeah.
that happens, like, oh my gosh, he stuck with it, man.
Yeah.
And that's why we're attracted to movies like, Lord of the Rings and all
Well,
that
it's the
stuff.
heroes. It's all of that in literature is the hero's
Hero's
journey.
journey. Yep.
And the hero's journey wouldn't be as compelling if the story started with once upon a time there was hero and everything went right for him. The end. you know,
Exactly.
everything was
Exactly.
great and not much else to see here. you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just before I segue into my latest thing, history is littered
Right.
with golf history is littered with guys like J.J. Spaun winning the U.S. Open.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Guys like Steve Jones, Andy North has won Andy
Andy
North has
North.
won 2 U.S. Opens. Two of
Exactly.
them. Lee Jansen's won a couple. Guys that were great golfers, but not superstars. Like that field had, Oakmont had 20 of the most famous golfers on planet Earth. He's not one of them.
Oh,
But U.S.
absolutely.
Opens can produce winners like this.
Yep.
Where I'm not saying that J.J. Spaun, it's conceivable he could win another one, but I'll bet he doesn't.
Yeah, I could see that totally. Yeah, I mean, yes. And you know what's interesting is that, talk about journeyman, Dave Barr came this close to winning
Yeah,
a Canadian Open. I think it was the second time that Andy North won. That Dave Barr was, within a whisker. But yeah, I mean, majors, it's interesting. PGAs are the same. Tends to
for
like
sure.
who would,
PGAs and the U.S. Open tend
yeah.
to not so much. Although the British Open, as we used to call it, has been won by some lesser
Yes.
known names.
Yeah, Sluman, won the
Ben,
PGA.
what's his face?
Curtis. Ben
Ben
Curtis,
Curtis.
yeah.
There's a
And then
perfect example of a guy that didn't not much else in his career except win a major.
Yeah, who was the guy who on the PGA on the 72nd
Sean
hole
McKeel, I think.
knocked it to 2 inches?
Was it Sean McKeel? Something like
And where
that.
is he now?
Exactly.
You know what's
Um,
interesting? So what I'll reflect back to, I think I connect this. So Carl and I was driving him back to, he was staying at Toronto Golf Club, and I won't name the player, but I think you heard this story. He told it on this podcast about, the hopes and expectations that we have. So the hopes is that you tee off one back in the US Open, that you could win this thing. You launch a project, you hope that it succeeds. And sometimes you do succeed, but it doesn't necessarily deliver the nirvana that we expected. And so Carl was, uh, I had my suspicions who it was, and it wasn't who I thought it was. But there was a player who always was contending in PGA Tour events. He'd won events, always there in the majors, but never getting her done. Well, he finally wins his major.
yeah.
And so Carl goes like, wouldn't you open the drapes every morning and say, thank you, I won my major. Isn't
That's
life
right. Yeah, yeah.
wonderful? And what Carl was saying is that the guy's anxiety about majors was worse now, because he didn't want to be known as kind of a Johnny once some, if you will, or he just caught lightning in a bottle like Sluman, McKeel, whomever. And that now he's, oh, do I have to move, to Florida
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
accept all this? And so it's pretty interesting. I mean, we hope and hope that these things happen, and sometimes when they do happen, it's kind of like the Peggy Lee song. Is that all there is?
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out that that's why I think that, and golf is such a great example of this is that you better enjoy the journey, because really the journey is the fun part. Because, and again, I'm not
for sure.
I'm not comparing this in any way to winning a major, but it took me. I was a member of the National for 7 years before I won the club championship, and when I did, I came home. I remember this distinctly. I came home, and my wife and I guess I had one kid at that time. They were out. I was just there by myself. Like, I was just there by myself, kind of going, "Oh, okay. Well, we didn't have cell phones, so I didn't have anybody to tell. I couldn't." And then when she came home, she's like, "How did it go today?" And I was like, I showed her the trophy, and we all got excited for a few minutes. And then it was time to make dinner. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
It was almost like,
whose turn is it to load the dishwasher?
exactly. So I had dinner with you guys, and while you were in the bathroom, I said to Carl very quickly, I was standing there in the lobby of the restaurant. I said, because I told you guys I had to go. I had an event the next day, which was yesterday now. And I said, "Hey, Carl." I said, I've been, I've played in all these tournaments, the Canadian Amateur, the Canadian Senior Amateur, the Canadian Mid-Amateur. I said, but it's been a couple years since I've qualified, and I've got a qualifier tomorrow. And I said, any thoughts? Because I said, I can't pretend that it doesn't mean something to me.
Yeah.
So he said, we sort of talked about what, he called it the game within the game. And I think it's a good thought. It didn't work for me, but it's a good thought. It's for others. If you're going to play golf this weekend, and maybe it's a significant event, maybe it's a club championship, or maybe it's just your Saturday, Sunday game. What he was kind of saying is, rather than think about the whole game in total, maybe make some little games. In my case, he said, how many greens in regulation do you normally hit? I said, I normally hit this many. So, well, why don't you make the game within the game, just tick off greens in regulation as they go by? Well, that wasn't a lot for me, but it was a great idea. That having something to concentrate on other than the entire outcome of the day. I thought it was great advice. It unfortunately didn't work out for me, but so we're gonna segue to that little nonsense now. So I got a note from Tim yesterday, because you knew I was trying to qualify. He said, "How'd it go?" And I just sent you a link to the Golf Genius. Have you had a chance to look at it?
I did. And so what did you learn from this one, Howard?
Well, so I won't keep you all in suspense. I did not qualify. I missed it by, I think I missed it by 5. I think I missed by 5. Yeah. 5 to be on 5 to 5. I was 5 higher than the number, and that number, a couple of those guys at that number were alternates. So I was basically 6 shots away from getting in. And I must admit, it was a great experience, because I had my longtime coach and friend, a guy I talk about it on the show all the time, Yoda, Paul Henrik, who's like, he speaks in parables, and you can never really get a complete straight answer from him, but and he was caddying for me. So it was great. And
like carrying the bag, caddying, or carting?
Driving a cart.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
We're old men. No one's carrying everybody's bag. The only bag we're carrying is our own.
But
thank you. Hang on. So it was a great. Here's what it was. It was a great experience from this standpoint. Is I actually had somebody that has seen me hit more golf balls than anyone I currently know, and has coached me for the better part of 10 years. And so he could see. It was great for him to see what happens to me, and to experience what has been happening more. I feel like this spring It's been, and I can't explain it. I've been more nervous than normal. I have been more unnerved than normal, like just normal golf tournament nerves. And I had the same experience yesterday. And I thought of you because, like, here's why. Because when we all know that the very first time that Tim and I ever golfed together, Tim went on a shanking fucking frenzy, and I'd never seen anything like it. And what made me fall in love with Tim was that he handled it so well. I was like, wow, man, this guy's not bullshitting. He's really committed to finding the positive in life, because after the 17th shank, we're done. We'll go play ping pong or some shit. So if you will allow me, I'll describe. I was pretty nervous on the first tee, but Kent was there. We both were qualifying, and he was in the group behind me. So we were like, kind of like conversation just before we teed off. There's a putting green there. We were just hitting some putts together and talking to Paul, and it was all very good. And I felt good. Felt like the day before I had played an event, shot 75, as easy as you can shoot 75. Pretty good. Felt good about my game, good about my ball striking. Was really looking forward to playing. And what's coming is that I kind of slapped it around the first hole and made a par. And on the second hole, it's a short par 4. It's 320. So I get 4-iron off the green. And I sort of tanked it. I kind of thinned it maybe 180 yards. No big deal, though, because I've got like 140 into the green. Yeah. Maybe 145 into the wind a little bit. And I'm going to hit a little bit of choke down 8-iron and draw it. Just a little baby draw. I'm in the middle of the fairway. On the second hole, I'm still feeling a little bit nervous. I had Paul drive the cart, and I was walking, breathing, lots of breaths, trying to get my breath, trying to find my breath. And I'm over this shot. We talked it over, just a soft draw off the right bunker, lots of room. And then I shanked it.
Like a dead, honest to goodness shank?
Yeah, like I shanked it straight right about 50 yards.
Ouch.
Into some trees.
Ugh.
And as you know from doing that, it has the weird electrical.
Yes,
feeling.
Exactly.
It feels like you've been short-circuited.
Yeah, 1,000 volts suddenly.
Yeah. Because it doesn't happen to me very often. I can remember the last time it happened to me in competition, and it was a long time ago. So I drop a ball because I'm not sure I'm going to find the first one.
Yeah.
And I shank that one. And now I'm like completely out of it was just, I was thinking about it later. Of all the things I thought might happen in a round of golf to me, that's just not one of them. Would I have been surprised if I pull hooked it left of the green? No, I do that all the time. So we find my first ball. I have to punch it out. I get on in 4 and I 2-putt it. So I make a double bogey. But for the rest of the front 9, I only make one other par. I just bogey every single hole. And I won't go into the different ways, but I could have written a book, all the ways there is to make a bogey. I lipped out a 10-footer. I missed a 3-footer. By the way, 2 holes later, another 8-iron, another shank. Oh. And so I had sort of settled down after a couple holes. Like I made a par. The next hole I missed that's the thing is, the next hole I missed about a 4-footer for par. That would have maybe settled me down. Parred the next hole, but I didn't make I parred the 4th hole of the round and didn't make another par until the 11th hole. Now, some of that was just some bad breaks.
Yep.
Like, and it was one of those rounds where I just couldn't get off, as people say, I just couldn't get off the bogey train. As I said after a couple of bogeys in a row, I said to Paul, I'm really good at bogeys. And he laughed. I said, I'm really excellent at bogeys, Paul. And but when I say the book would have been every way you can make bogey, I made it. Good drive, laid up in a par 5, hit it too good on the layup, went down a downslope to an uphill green, Thought I hit a great shot, came up close, just didn't get it up and down, bogey. 9th hole, great drive. Second shot, we both thought when we drove up there, we thought the ball on the green was mine. It was 20 yards over the green. Just little things where.
Yep.
But the best bogey I made all day, the best one, was the 11th hole, or 10th hole. So we're finished the front 9. I don't even know what I shot. I just know I bogeyed almost all the holes. But I was specifically not looking at the score because I'm like, okay, whatever the score was, I'm going to do the best I can on the back 9 and see what happens. The score was 44, by the way. So I go to the 10th hole, great drive. We decide on 7-iron. It's about 155, and I hit it. And while it's in the air, I say, be the right club. Not be the right club today. But it was the first time all day I was like, this is a great shot. It's going right at the flag. It ends up 10 feet away. Nice chance at birdie. First hole of the back 9. Who knows? This could be historic. I've made 5 birdies in a round of golf before. Maybe I'm going to make 5 birdies on the back 9. And then I hit my putt, and it's just on the lip, just so close to going in. And I have a mallet-style putter. You know what's coming. And by the way, when I say if it was an inch, it might have been an inch. But as I'm going to backhand it into the hole, somebody says something to me, and I look up. And as I look up, I go to hit the ball, and I stub the ball, and I touch the ball, so it's a stroke. And then I tap it in for bogey. So I've now gone 11.
Man.
That's the 10th hole of the round.
Sorry for finding mirth in your misery.
It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. And Paul looked at me like, did you just make 5? I go, I think so. And then for the rest of the round, if I putt it up to like a couple inches from the hole, he goes, "Are you gonna mark that?" So that was my round, and I ended up I played a better back. I played kind of a bad but normally bad back 9. I made a couple more bogeys coming in, but I was 4 over on the back with a couple of 3 putts late. And I made a nice birdie. I made a birdie on the toughest hole of the course. So that was the day. And I will tell you this, because you're a mental performance coach and, I'm golf spiritual leader. There were moments during the round that I was like, I was feeling sorry for myself, and I was feeling, the things you feel. Yeah. And at one point, my friend Grant, I just looked at my phone in the middle of the round, later in the round. I was like, I had to wait because it's a slow round. It's a qualifier. And he said, "Hey, what's happening?" He says, "Hey, what's happening? What's golf situations have you got yourself into this week?" And this is like noon. I go, "Currently not qualifying for the senior am." That's my response. And then I say, because I'm feeling all fucking sorry for myself, I say, "I think this will be my last time." "Oh, well, I'm still a very nice person." And he writes back, "Shit, fuck, are you finished?" I said, "No, but pretty much." So I was feeling a little sorry for myself.
Yeah.
But by the time I got home and last night, and I looked at my schedule, I've got a tournament this weekend. I've got a couple big tournaments still coming. I thought, it won't be my last time, because part of what, back to the idea of the JJ Spaun, part of what is attractive about this to me now is that it's still something I haven't solved. Like, I qualified for these tournaments pretty much fairly regularly for a period of time. But for now, the last 3 years, it's my 3rd year in a row that I haven't qualified for it. And so I thought to myself last night, won't it be a great story when, whether it's next year, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, that I finally qualify for it again? Because that's really what it's about. It's trying to do it. And it would be easy for me to go, all right, I'm done with this. I don't need the aggravation, because it is. It's aggravating. It's aggravating, as I said to you last week and what we talked about. Golfers, and myself included, in our inability to access our ability when you want it is so frustrating. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, the day before I shot 75, and it was like, it should have been 70, but it was so easy. It was just so simple. And the next day I bogeyed every hole from the from the fourth hole to I made a par on 11. And I said to Paul as I was going back to the car, I said, that's the first time I've done that in a couple hours. A couple of fucking hours without making a par. So what makes you keep trying? Well, I don't know. I guess because if you don't try, you walk off the golf course.
Yeah. Wow. Mr. Glassman, are you open for questions?
I will take questions, and then I will also tell you what I did to make myself feel better.
Well, we'll just jump to that one. Mr. Glassman.
Questions first. Questions first.
Well, that is my question. Okay. Oh, okay. So while this was going on, you're on the bogey train. Were you giving every shot your full attention?
Every single one.
Okay.
Every single one. I was so proud of that because I had this guy with me who's played in 2 Canadian Opens who wouldn't let me make a swing before we had completely talked it over. 9th hole, 128 uphill, a little bit into the wind, like really uphill, a little bit into the wind. And for me, that would be like a really hard wedge or a sort of a 3/4 9. So we say, okay, Paul says, let's go with the 3/4 9. Here's your target. You got that? I go, yeah, I got it, pro. I hit it, and my ball ends up, because it must have landed at the edge of the back of the green, bounded up this hill, because it's really, really hard where it landed. So I make bogey. Like I barely made bogey. I had to punch it out of this high grass, 30 feet, 2-putted. It was a fine bogey. But I made bogeys like that. I took my time on every single shot. I never threw one away, except for the 1-inch putt that I missed. Fuck.
Well, it sounds like you were distracted too, but
Yeah, but seriously, I literally could have gripped it in. I could have used my grip if that was legal. So, so to answer your question, yeah, I gave it. I was proud of that I literally tried on every single shot for the entire round.
Okay. Follow up. After you made your shank, it's often said that what's the hardest shot in golf? The shot after a shank. When you settled over these usually it's short irons, wedges, 8 irons. So they tend to be the Shankosaurus clubs. Did you have a sense that, this could happen again?
Never.
And if it,
not once.
Okay,
No.
cool.
Well, here's why. Even when it happened again 2 holes later, it's so out of the ordinary that I didn't think, oh, well, now I guess I'm the Shanksy guy, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, the Shankosaurus.
Qualifier Shanks. Yeah, I just funny you asked that. It never came back into my brain.
Okay, so that wasn't like when you settled into another shot, it was like, okay, keep my weight back or something like that, so I don't shank.
No.
Oh, cool. All right.
I hit a lot of really good shots. Probably from like even the 3rd hole, it's a short par 4. I hit a 235-yard, 3-wood that I couldn't have hit it any better.
Okay. All right. So you didn't give up. The shanks didn't infect you to the point that you were standing over the ball shaking or anything like that. So I guess the core question I would have to ask is, having gone through what I did in golf hell, you've said that, maybe it's golf purgatory or limbo, I don't know.
I'm not in any kind of hell.
Okay, cool. Knowing that is a good thing.
I'm not.
But what have you come to any degree of clarity? I mean, it's always, to me, it's like I've got a D1 player who's going to a U.S. Open qualifier today. She struggled with her swing for a while. She's been working with a coach on getting it in the slot, but she's nervous about this round. And so the core question I've had to her is, what are we going to take from today? What are we going to learn? So that's my question for you. What did you learn from that round or from your recent experience in these tournaments?
Well, I mean, I think I learned that something's going on with me. Like, as far as the good stuff goes, I've already talked about it. I didn't give up. I didn't, I was still a good guy to play with. I didn't get frustrated. I didn't moan about it. It didn't say, oh, cray, I can't believe. I didn't do any of that. I didn't say one thing during the round. Even after I missed the 1-inch putt, I didn't say to the guys, oh, can you fucking believe I missed the 1-inch putt? I just got on with it,
Yeah.
and
Good for you. Good for
yeah,
you.
like I didn't. I because I've gotten pretty good through repetition of not dragging it with me. I didn't say, "Oh, why am I having?" But on the way home, after I'll tell you what Ken Osborne and I did after the round has become a tradition with us now. But I felt like even when I called my lovely girlfriend, and she was telling me about an event she was just at where she had a really great experience with her kids, and I was completely engaged with that. I thought
Nice.
that's a good sign, Howard. Like
It is. Yeah.
because I didn't want the conversation to be about another fucking golf experience. It's just a game. And when she was telling me about this great thing that happened to her inside her family, I was genuinely, I could feel it in my body, genuinely thrilled for her.
Great.
I was able to get out of my one in, shanks, fucking
What
three
age?
shanks, 3 shanks and a 1 inch putt. It's like an album. It's like I just thought, well, this is just another day
It's
of
Howard's dark
golf.
side of the moon.
Exactly, 3 shanks and a 1 inch putt, the Howard Glassman story. But so I'm a little bit bewildered by and was great having Paul there because he's played a lot. He's played tournament golf as long as I've been alive, and his observations of me were that I was a little bit quick early. Maybe I was, there. He gave me a couple of things technically that he saw in my golf swing that I won't bore you with, but he just saw that I was a little bit unsettled, and I would wonder. I've asked you this on the show, and I've asked you this privately. I just don't know, like, does it mean too much to me? Am I? Because I had a pretty decent golf season last year. I didn't win anything. Oh, I did win. So I won one tournament, but I had high finishes in all these tournaments, with the exception of the qualifier. You and I finished high in our. We had a good finish in our 2-man event. We finished in the top 2 or 3. I had a bunch of finishes like that, and I've had only one like that this year. And I can tell you that during these rounds, I have found myself more. I don't want to say nervous because I'm not trembling. I'm just unsettled. And it took me a long time again yesterday to get to become settled into the round. So I guess my takeaway is I've got to figure out why that's happening and just keep on, going, I guess.
Yeah. So the learning is that there's still a discovery to be made or further exploration.
Yeah.
So the learning is I didn't come up with something and here's a handy bromide and I'll do this and everything will be hunky dory. I would come back to here's a Fred Shoemaker piece is what awareness is missing, the presence of which would make the difference. So I think for you, the awareness that's missing is what the hell's going on, and that's what I mean about the exploration. There's something that's going on that you're just not conscious of that causes that feeling. I mean, we talked about that with Carl. Anytime that golf becomes like a threat or a test, our body intuits that, oh, we're in danger. And hence the feeling you've talked about just not being settled. Like you kind of in your rib cage or in your stomach. It's like some electricity or something going on. That's your body relating to, I'm in I'm in shit somehow here and I'm in danger. And it's hard to access your ability when you're in that space. That it's almost impossible. So what I'm getting at is the invitation for you, I pose it that way, is to do some, it could be journaling. It could just be, you and I having some just really good talks about what's going on so that you can delve into that sort of that dark area. And what I mean by dark is we just don't see what's going on. It's like the lights are off. So how do we bring what's going on into the light and get a better sense of what's going on? Um, I don't, I heard a great phrase on my way driving to see you and Carl. I'm not saying that this is what's going on, but I think we can extrapolate some very cool meaning from it. So I really enjoy this writer. He's a Jungian therapist, James Hollis, and he was going through a difficult time at one point in his life, and his therapist said, "You need to make fear your agenda." And like, wow, I thought that was really cool. So whether it's you're really afraid, but there's uncertainty, and that's where we need to look. And that's where most of us do not want to fucking look.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we pour alcohol on it, overwork, try to look for some fix. No, it's got to look within. What's going on is within, and we need to look and find out what's going there, and look in those spaces that we generally do not want to look.
Yeah, I am sure. You said that the other night, and I thought about it. Like, I don't know, because I can't really think. Like, I have nothing on the surface. I feel pretty good. I'm healthy. I feel strong, and my game, like I said, I probably haven't had maybe the scores that I would normally have. Although I've had some pretty low rounds this spring, and I've
Yeah,
had
you
some
have.
pretty easy rounds of golf. But for the most part, all my tournament rounds, with the exception of, I think it was Islington, I finished in the top 10 or top 9. I had a pretty good round of tournament golf that day. And what I mean by that is, yes, I was nervous, but I got some not to take this away from the psychological, but I got some buoyancy early in the round that day. I got some success. Things went my way versus not going my way. Because I'll tell you, and I know you're experienced with this, 2 shanks really turned my day in a way that I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah.
And
The proverbial punch in the face.
yeah, but with shanking, and Paul and I talked about this. Not only is that an electrical current that goes through you, but it also, and his observation was, then and to answer your other question, I wasn't scared of shanking it after that, but I was definitely on my heels. I was definitely, there was a nervousness about me. I wasn't, as Paul McGinley always said, I wasn't on my forward. I wasn't going forward. I was a little bit, scared or reticent or whatever, however you want to cause it. And nothing went my way. Like, again, I had like a 10-foot putt on the 5th hole that just was a beautiful putt, just lipped out. I missed a 3.5-foot putt on the 3rd hole. Like, I had nothing that, like the guys I played with, this is the 2nd year in a row, by the way, that the 2 other guys in my group qualified and I didn't. And they weren't way better than me. They just played a normal round of golf. One guy shot 78, one guy shot 79. And they both had, if you look at their cards, they both had a double on their card, like I did. Mm-hmm. I had a second double on my card in the back 9 from a terrible decision on a bad swing. But they had doubles on their card, but around it, they had the 8 or 9 or 10 pars and a couple of bogeys here or there, and just kind of a normal round of golf. Like, I wasn't looking to shoot 71. I just needed to shoot 77 or 78 or 79.
Yeah.
So shooting 84 was me being on my heels. Eventually like I said, the back 9 I played pretty well. I had a couple late bogeys to shoot 4 over. So it wasn't like I was way off. Mm-hmm. It was just, I don't have the answer. I just know that I feel like maybe I should have conquered this by now, and I haven't. And now that every event that goes by, I'm, like I said, I could feel it yesterday again. I could feel that unsettledness. But before we run out of time, I got to tell you. So our friend Kent, my friend Kent, also was qualifying yesterday. And I won't say his number because that's none of anyone's business. I'll just say it was even higher than mine.
Ooh.
And so we had a pact, Kent and I. We saw each other before the round, and we had sort of jokingly, because when we have played bad together before, we went to have a big giant burger, and so I said, "Hey, if we, because he loves Mandarin, I said, if we qualify, we're going to Mandarin." I said, "If not, we're going to go get burgers." And so I saw him about the 14th or 15th hole, and it was apparent we were going for burgers at that time. And sure enough, we did. We went and crushed. It was a place called Burgers Priest. So we had, honestly, we had 2 burgers the size of your head, fucking French fries and gravy. I had a root beer, and he had a milkshake, like 2 little kids. And it was funny because we sort of sat down, and You know, we hadn't really spoken much. We just sat down and I said, man, I'm fucking tired. I don't even want to talk about it. He goes, yeah, me neither. And we started eating the burger. And then all we did was talk about it for 20 minutes. But I'll tell you what, man, besides putting me in a food coma, the burger made me feel better. And by the time I started driving home, I was fine. I was going to be over it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I just want to, I know we've come sort of to the usual time. We close it down. You want to go? You want about 5 more minutes? I want to ask a couple questions.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm with you. Also, I'm going to plug your workshop. I've got it right in front of me here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we ask Carl is, what's the difference between players who suffer bad breaks but just seem to hang in there, like Rory McIlroy, for sake of example?
Yeah.
And his answer was just they have a deep belief in themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So how does that land for you in terms of comparing yourself to these other
Great
guys
question.
that you played with?
Great question. And here's why I think it's a great question, because I thought to myself last night that, and it's so apt, because I don't think I give myself enough credit, and I haven't built up enough belief in myself, because I said to myself yesterday, I got a confirmation of a tournament. It's the 100th anniversary of the Willie Park at Weston.
Oh, wow.
So I've been playing in this since I was a kid, like in my 30s. I've been playing in this, other than the 10 years I took from golf, this might be my 25th Willie Park. And of course, now I'm a senior, so we only play 18 holes. But I saw this thing last night that said, Howard, you're confirmed for the tournament. And it's in August. And I said this I rarely ever say this out loud. I said, you know what? I'm going to fucking win this tournament.
There you go.
I never say that. And I thought, isn't that weird? Because I go to that qualifier yesterday hoping I play well. But I could have, 75 was the lowest score shot at that place yesterday. The last time I played that golf course, I shot 71. So, the reason I thought that was such a great question is because I thought about it last night. Why don't I ever think of my game in those terms? Because I don't believe in it. That's why.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe I'm good enough. When in actual fact, I am good enough. And
Of
the
course
reason
you are.
Well, that's the thing, is the reason I said I'm going to win the Willie is because last year I finished behind Ashley Chinner and a couple guys. Last year I was so close to winning it until the 17th hole when I four-putted, but I was right there. I looked at the scorecards after. I was either leading or close to leading until the second last hole. So I clearly have the ability, but to your question, I don't think of myself. My belief isn't that I'm that good. My ego would like you to think it is. My ego would like you to think I'm that good, but I don't really think I am. And that's the problem.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really valuable. And so where I would go with this is that you can say, it's almost like the Stuart Small thing, I'm good enough and gosh darn it, people like me. That doesn't make a change. What makes the change is what action are you taking to change your behavior? How does the behavior change? It's always about, we've come back to this, it's been another theme that we've followed for the last few podcasts, is what's my response? And so what you were doing during that event after you shanked and all that is you just kept going. Your response was appropriate. It really was. But you're still on that journey of figuring out about where it is. But you're in what I would say is that you're in a cycle. And so there's something going on beneath that you haven't got to. And that's what Raymond Pryor, that's what he talked about, is that there's all the psychology stuff. We need to get beneath that.
Yeah.
And so that's part of your work, if you will, is getting beneath ego consciousness. What's going on? And so to try and get a little bit practical here, when you talk about, oh, what's the work? Okay, what do I do? And I have it in my book, Getting Unstuck, 7 Transformational Practices for Golf Nerds, it's called a habit loop. And we talked with Judson Brewer on this, I think, in the first couple of years of our show. So what's the trigger? So something goes on, you go into into the senior qualifier. There's a trigger there. What's the behavior? Tightness.
Mm-hmm.
What goes on? And so that's sort of a natural thing. And then sometimes it sometimes it works out in terms of what you do. So there's kind of a reward there, but usually the reward is not rewarding at all. It just
Yeah,
leads
it's
us
just
back.
yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I know that you do, and maybe I put you on the spot a bit here is, I mean, you've said it before, you have a PhD in golf swing. I mean, no one has taken, you've taken so many lessons and you work hard. I don't know anyone who's worked harder outside of VJ Singh, for an amateur
I'm like
in terms
V
of,
juicing.
yeah, in terms of time invested in energy.
Yes.
And yet there you went last year, you went to see Andy Plummer, was it? Or was
Yeah.
it Bennett? Yeah.
Andy
So
Plummer.
the stock and tilt guy.
Stack and till guy, yeah.
So there's something there's a trigger to you like, oh, I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't believe in myself. So I need more information.
Yes.
So what's my behavior? Seek out more information.
Yes.
Go see Plummer or Bennett. And that kind of feels good. So you kind of get the dopamine hit. Oh, I've got some more info. I know what I'm doing. But ultimately, just like the alcoholic wakes up the next day, ah, shit, I did that again. Or I didn't quit. I didn't quit my behavior. I'm right back to where I was again. And that's the habit loop.
No, I know, and it's a big part of Raymond's work, and it's a big part of Raymond's book, Golf Beneath the Surface: Trigger, Habit, Behavior, Reward.
And Tim O'Connor's book too.
Yes, I know. Getting Unstuck: 7 Transformations. Yeah, well, let's leave it there. Tim's doing this is going to come out on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Friday the 20th. So we'll give you a chance to hang with Tim in person. It's June 24th. From 7 to 9. By the way, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I don't have
that's
any
cool.
answers for you. June 24th, 7 to 9 at Greystone in Milton. Tim, these are lots of fun and reasonably priced. If you want to register, is the information at o'connorgolf.ca?
Actually, no. Send me an email to tim@o'connorgolf.ca. tim@o'connorgolf.ca. I'll send you some info.
Yeah, it's very, very, it's a great evening. It's a couple hours. Lots of talk like this. And, yeah, I will tell you, my attitude, yeah, there was a few moments there. Ken and I were talking about it at our Burger Fest. The feeling is demoralizing.
Totally.
It's a bit demoralizing, but I had this, I don't want to say epiphany, but I had this realization last night when I saw the confirmation for the Willie Park. I thought, isn't it funny? You never really talk about golf like that. Like, I never really, I might come off, and maybe some people think of me as this, but I might come off like I'm super confident about my golfing ability because I can hit a lot of pretty cool shots. But internally, it turns out I'm not that confident. And because I don't talk to myself in my heart of hearts when no one's around, I don't talk to myself like you have a chance to win. But Paul always says this to me. He says, like, are you going to go out to try and win? And I go, well, I just want to, do my best. He goes, what the fuck are you doing? He says, you're as good as any of these guys you play against. Like, but in my little Howie Glassman heart of hearts, apparently I don't. Apparently I don't. And yet, all the evidence would be to the contrary.
Yeah.
So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to think about that.
Yeah, I'm going to add this on briefly.
Please, briefly.
So we talked about Mike Alderman a couple weeks
Yes.
ago, and so Mike Alderman and I play at Blue Springs, and so we started to meet on. It just happened that our schedules meet on Fridays. We'd end up on the range. We chatted, and he had been the club champion a few years. And so I thought, I'd love to get a game with this guy. So we finally do get a game together, and we go out and he shoots his normal 73, 74. And I hit some pretty good shots. Actually, I was surprised how well I hit it compared to him, like right up there with
Just
drives.
as good as him. Absolutely.
Pretty good. I shoot 82.
Yeah.
And so we go in the clubhouse and we're just having a beer afterwards, and we're talking. He goes, I want to tell you something. And he just locks eyeballs with me. And he says, you got everything you need, pal. He says, you got a great swing. You manage yourself well around the golf course. You know how to hit golf shots. There's just one thing. You don't believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy fuck. It's kind of like he took a 2x4 and just swung that thing and nailed me in the chest. And it was like, pow. That was just like that was just a truth that was just
Yeah.
revealed. Like I already knew that truth, but he saw it in it. He saw it in me, and I thought, holy shit! I've taken lessons from Foley, from I've talked to all these amazing people, Rotella, all this information, and I thought in that moment, that was one of the greatest golf lessons I ever got,
Yeah.
was the realization that I didn't believe in myself and how that held me back. And I've always thanked, every 2 years I see Mike, I go, thanks, man, for
Well,
that.
I was going to say, I don't think it's unusual. I don't think there's anyone listening that isn't going to
Yeah.
relate to the fact that sometimes, maybe more or less, but a lot of us are on the golf course and, you have a bad stretch of holes or you hit a shot that, you always hit. And we berate ourselves in such a way, but it's almost like, well, there we go again. You're just not good enough to play, or you need to go get a lesson, or you need to practice more. But, it's funny because I played with Alderman last week, and, he is way higher ranked than I am in the Ontario senior world. But he would tell you what I'm about to say. He's no better than I am. He said to me at the end, because we were talking about it, I said, fuck, I'm so sick of these qualifiers. And he doesn't have to qualify because he finished high enough in the tournament. But he said that, he sort of put his hand on my shoulder and said, listen, man, you have every, not to be a dick, but, game recognizes game. He knows I'm as good as he is.
Yep.
And yet he does way better in these tournaments than I do. But on any given day, he and I are going to be very, very close. But he said, you got all the shots. You have every shot you would need. And I thought, if I had maybe a bit more self-belief, I would go out and have a bad round and shoot 77. Because it's not a great round of golf for me. But it would have been a great round yesterday. Because because the difference between 78 and 84 is not just 6 shots. It's just, as Paul would say, getting out of your own way. Go out and make a few soft pars and make the odd bogey, and maybe a birdie drops or it doesn't. But, that's the difference. I play a lot of golf with a lot of very, very good players, and I sometimes wonder, why are they able to access their abilities and I'm not? And I think that's it. They just have a deeper belief in a different spot. Like I said, I know that ego-wise, I'm pretty good at this. And I can hit a lot of shots. But somewhere below that surface, I don't have the belief that maybe some better players do.
Yeah. But I also think, and this is, I find this with a lot of the better players I coach who struggle in tournaments, just like you said so appropriately or whatever, is the inability to access your ability when you most want it.
Yeah.
And this happens all the time. And so it comes down to belief system for sure, but it's also how much of my identity and my image and my hopes and the image I hope to project out there is at stake. And when I feel threatened, that's when it gets difficult to access that ability. Is because for some people it's like, oh well, that happened, but I have a deep belief in myself, so I'll come back from this. But those who don't have as much belief is like, oh, there must be something wrong.
Yes.
I got to fix my backswing.
Yeah, something's wrong with my golf game, and if I could only fix it, then I'd never have to go through this pain and aggravation and embarrassment and et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
When I was younger, it manifested itself with poor behavior and being not fun to play with. Now, like I said, I was talking to these guys, all the way around. We had a lot of waiting, and I had Paul, one of my best friends, there. And, even when I was in the middle of making bogey after bogey after bogey, I thought, this is good. I recognized it was good for him to watch me, to see me go through this, because reporting about it now, witnessing it up close, it's like, how could you ever hit that shot? It was probably fascinating to see how poorly I can hit a golf ball at times, etc. Well, this has been. I said, hey Tim, we probably have to do a short show today. This is the longest show we've done in years. I thank you for your counsel and your guidance. Once again, Tim's
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for
How to
sharing.
Get Unstuck workshop is June 24th. Sign up for it. And that's about it. We've got a pretty couple of cool guests coming up.
We've got Carl Morris coming up. Erica Larkin.
Yes.
When we're done here, we have to reschedule the date I threw.
But Carl's coming up in the next little while, right?
Yeah, in early July. Yeah.
All right. All right. Yeah. Well, good luck,
Oh
everybody.
yeah, Carl's July the 2nd.
Okay, Grandpa's got to go now. Tim O'Connor, o'connorgolf.ca, The Humble and Fred Show at humbleandfredradio.com, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and all that stuff. Until next week, yeah. I hope everyone stop shanking. stop shanking, and O'Connor, stop swearing so much. All right, I'll see you next time.